Whether you're starting out in embroidery or are a seasoned apparel decorator, there's one thing in common that all embroiderers face from time to time, which is thread shredding. But if you can isolate and troubleshoot the problem correctly and you know what to look for, you can fix the problem very easily and be back up and running in no time. So in today's episode, to alleviate you from the headaches of constant thread shredding, I'm going to give you the 5 most common mistakes that embroiderers make that can cause thread shredding and how to fix it. Make sure to watch this video all the way through because it's going to come in handy when that time comes for you to troubleshoot thread shredding on your machine. Alright guys, before we get started in today's video, if you're new to this channel, my name is Henry Ma, I'm the CEO of Ricoma, and over the years we've helped thousands of entrepreneurs and business owners start and scale their businesses in the apparel decoration industry. If you're new here, consider subscribing to the channel so you keep up to date as soon as new videos come out. And if you enjoyed content like this and found this information helpful in your embroidery journey, make sure to smash that like button and share this video to someone else who might find it useful. Alright, jumping into the first common mistake that embroiderers make that causes thread shredding, which is embroidering with a worn out needle. You may not realize this, but embroidery needles get dull over time as they embroider more and more items. For example, a sharp point needle that is used to embroider caps can easily get worn out very quickly if you constantly embroider thick structured caps. These needles not only become dull, but can also develop small micro burrs around the eye of the needle that can cause thread to shred. So what's the solution to this? Easy. You just simply have to change out the worn out needle for a new one, and that should solve your problem. But then comes the question, how frequently should you really change out your needles to prevent them from getting dull? And my answer to that is that it really depends on when you're starting to see your thread constantly shred when embroidering. Also, try to keep a log of when's the last time you changed out that needle so you have a reference point on how frequently you need to change it out. If it was a long time ago, you'll know that that's probably the likely cause of your thread shredding. All right, moving on to common mistake number 2, which is you've put in your needle backwards. Now, this is super common, especially if you just changed out that needle for a new one, as it might be the cause of your thread shredding. When you have a needle in backwards, the thread is not going to run as smoothly through the needle eye and therefore cause threading at times during high speeds. The solution here is obviously to remove the needle and put it in the correct way, but how do you know which way is correct? Always make sure that the groove on your needle is facing the front towards you if you're standing in front of the machine, and that the scarf of the needle is facing towards the back of the machine. All right, common mistake number 3 is using the wrong size needle for the project you're embroidering. This can typically happen if you're using a heavier weight thread but a smaller size needle. This is because the smaller the needle size, the smaller the eye of the needle is going to be, and if you have a heavier weight thread and therefore a thicker thread, it's going to pass not as easily through the eye of the needle, causing more friction and therefore your thread shredding or fraying. So the solution to this is to obviously make sure that you're using the right size needle for the right project and the right weight of thread that goes along with that. All right, common mistake number 4 that causes your thread to shred during embroidery is not having your machine threaded properly. Improper threading can cause your thread to snag at different parts of the machine along the thread path, therefore causes more friction and can cause frequent thread breaks or thread shredding in some cases. The solution here is to check your thread path very carefully, starting from the thread cone all the way to the eye of the needle and every point in between. One good way to pinpoint which section along the thread path might be causing the issue is to see at which point along that thread path does the thread usually shred in. If it's shredding near the top, it might be a burr in one of the eyelids that the thread is passing through. If it's shredding near the middle of the thread path, it might be caused by some of the take-up levers that the threads are passing through or some of the tension springs along the way. If it's shredding more towards the bottom part of the thread path, which is the most likely and frequent case that we see, then it's more likely than not caused by the needle. All right, moving on to the last mistake we're going to talk about, which might come as a surprise to many of you, which is you didn't check to see if there's more than one thread that's shredding. It is definitely possible that one or more threads are shredding at the same time. In this case, the solution is to check your needle plate, your bobbin case, and your rotary hook. The reason for this is that these three items are common areas that all thread lines will pass through, and therefore are more likely the reason that might cause multiple lines of thread to fray. For example, the hole on your needle plate might have nicks or burrs along the edges that will cause any thread line that passes through it to shred. Your bobbin case might also be damaged or have nicks and burrs on that as well. Lastly, while it isn't as common as the needle plate or bobbin case, a burr on your rotary hook can also cause multiple lines of thread to shred. This can happen when you've recently had a needle break or multiple needle breaks over time on the rotary hook that causes impact and scratches on the rotary hook itself. If you have ruled out mistakes 1 through 5 and you've checked literally everything and thread is still shredding, sometimes it's just a bad cone of thread, so go ahead and replace that with another cone along the same path and see if the problem persists. Alright, so here are some of the final takeaways. Thread shredding is very common, but also very preventable if you know what to look for. Make sure before starting any project that your machine and its components are set up correctly so you avoid some of these mistakes. Definitely try to troubleshoot and isolate the issue by seeing if thread shredding is occurring on just one line of thread or multiple lines of thread to determine what might be the common cause. Alright, you guys, I hope you found all of that information helpful. If this video gets over 200 likes, I will do a follow-up video on this channel breaking down the 3 most common types of thread breaks and how to troubleshoot each type. If you want to see that content, let me know down in the comment section below, and make sure to give this video a thumbs up to let me know that this is helpful for you guys. Also follow us on all of our social channels down below. We're very active on Instagram and on TikTok for some entertaining content. Last but not least, join our free Facebook group Embroidery and Custom Apparel Mastery, where you can join a community of apparel decorators sharing their tips and tricks of the industry, and you can be a part of the conversation. Alright, you guys, thank you so much for watching, and until next time.